it was postponed. Before we begin, for about the next 3 to 5 minutes, informally, I'd like to introduce Connie Brown from the MCCA. She's just going to spend 3-4 minutes at a time during the year talking about social host laws and introducing them as homeowners and parents of young kids, teenage kids, what have you. It's important that we become aware of the laws as it comes to teenage drinking and social hosts. So, just for a few minutes before we begin, and then we're going to get right into your concerns on the speed bumps.
Thank you. I'm Connie Brown from MCCA, and I'm not sure how many of you know what that agency is, but it's a substance abuse agency treatment facility here in Danbury with services all over Connecticut. We have joined Stand Together, Make a Difference, which is a coalition here in Danbury. And what we're doing together is actually beginning to address the underage drinking that has been a major problem really here in Danbury. And we have actually taken several initiatives to be able to begin to address that. And this is based on an assessment that we actually did here in Danbury. One of the things that we found out of that assessment, through that assessment, was that a lot of the parents and adults in the community are unaware of what the social host law is. And this is a law that has been in place since 2006. And because of that, we decided to go ahead and have a specific campaign that we're going to be using throughout, I'd say for the next few years, I hope, and beginning to address that. And April of this particular year, we did specific training with our police department here in Danbury, where we had some of the officers go through the training, and this was coordinated through Danbury Police Department, Lieutenant John Brown. And we were able to get not only some of the police officers here, but also 47 other locations here in Connecticut actually go through the training that was provided by the state of Connecticut. And what does that mean to you? One of the things that is beginning to, or will hopefully begin to occur, is that they will be better able to address party patrolling, which means addressing parties that are going on where there might be underage drinking. Okay? But for the parents to be aware of what's going on, it's only fair that they be educated as well. And that's why I've given you some of the information that you have here. Now, there are websites that you can, sort of go to and be able to get more information about this. There's 2 websites, and Danbury High School has sent out 15 cards on this particular campaign, and on there's the website that you can actually go to and get more information. There were 1,500 of these going out with the students with their last report card. So if any of you had any high school students that were in school just this past year, ask them. These were supposed to go out with their final report card. Okay? And why is it important for you to know that? Is because there is that liability for owners of properties where there is that underage drinking, which means that there are fines, there are infractions, possible some prison time. Okay? So I hope you don't take this lightly. It's extremely very important. And if any homeowner has an underage drinking party, even though you know or don't know about it, you're actually facing liability. Okay? So again, if you look at the website, it is actually we have some pledge cards that I'll be passing out. In fact, you will have the 2 websites that you can actually go to. Okay? Anybody that has any question about that can also contact the Danbury Police Department, the routine call, and ask for Lieutenant Brown. And he'll more than be willing to help you with that. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Connie. Case I can say, my card is up here when you leave. You want to come up, take my card, be my guests. And I think, Connie, you want to talk about the speed bumps?
Sure.
Or?
Sure.
just waiting for one more individual, Abdul Muhammad from the engineering department, to be here. When you guys came and submitted your petition for Chambers Road, and Jan Calderwood, thank you very much for putting it together on behalf of your neighborhood. Quick history in regard to speed humps, why you need speed humps, why you want speed humps, and how you get speed humps. Really quickly, essentially what has to happen is 70% of property owners need to submit a petition here to my office voicing support of speed humps. Doesn't necessarily mean you get them, but it certainly means that there's a large group of you that want them, or at least some other means of traffic calming, whether that means stop signs, traffic lights, police presence, whatever that might mean. So after you submitted that petition to me, excuse me, I went out to Mr. Muhammad from the engineering department, who did a study of the road, try to determine best possible locations for speed humps. Has everybody seen the painting on the road? Yeah. There's only one. I mean, there's only one area right now that I saw that has been marked on the street. I don't know if there are meant to be more, if there should be or shouldn't be. That's what Abdul's presence here in the meeting will be very beneficial. In addition, Police Chief Al Baker has joined us, and Sergeant Rory Rapoga. Thank you. Sergeant actually did, I don't know if you guys were aware, but the weekend of June 8th through the 11th, with Chief Baker's support, traffic patrol went out to your neighborhood, and I know that the sergeant speak more to that, but they were able to issue, I think, 10 or 11 infractions during that time. They got an average speed of cars going up and down. The lowest speed, I think, it was around 14 miles an hour, and the highest speed was 51 miles an hour. What's the speed limit on the road? 25. Yeah. So that's great information. I mean, really just to enforce. Certainly your road is a very popular road to cut through the bypass Clapper Ridge. So in a minute, when Abdul gets here, what I'd like to do is hear from you guys, hear from the officers, why you want them, where you want them, how many you want, and conversely, who doesn't want them, and why you don't want them. So we can discuss it, because it's really, this process empowers you guys, as you know, which is why you're here, to determine whether or not they would get installed. So we really want to hear from you. So, yes?
Do you have an illustration of where they're proposed right now?
Excuse me?
Do you have an illustration of where these homes are proposed by the board?
No, the only one that I know of myself is the one that Mr. Muhammad marked out on Chambers it's near 77, I think 74.
I saw several of them, the engineers kind of confusing.
Yeah. Well, that's for signage. That's for signage to say slow speed bump ahead.
Yeah.
That kind of nonsense. So, just bear another minute or two, and we'll start. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. I tell you, I'm extremely pleased with the turnout, because I was kind of thinking, I don't know, I think I have 20, 25 people, but there's almost 40 people here. So I couldn't be happy for that. For the people that came in, when I first introduced myself, Mayor Bowling will be here. He's coming directly over from the Danbury graduation. So he'll be here as soon as he's able.
What's your name?
What's that?
What's your name?
Oh, my name is Sean Stillman. I run the Office of Neighborhood Assistance downstairs in the first floor of City Hall. Also houses the unit office, which takes quality of life concerns from residents. So anytime you need to contact us, you can reach me through Jeff Preston, the 311 office. You can log online to the City Hall website, click on the link. The complaint issue or questions comes right into us. or you can reach me at the office, and I have business cards up here when the meeting is over, so I would encourage you to come on up and get one and say hi. In the meantime, as we begin, Sergeant is going to discuss the weekend that his crew spent in your neighborhood, and then take any questions that you guys might have in regards to the benefits that a police presence could be in the neighborhood. So, from there.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to first talk to you about my background. Sergeant Rory Duracco, I'm the commander of the Traffic Division. Chief Baker and Mayor Bowden took traffic complaints very seriously in the city. So last March, they decided to start a traffic division solely dedicated to traffic safety throughout the city of Danbury. I was selected to run the unit and get it going. I did go to school for mechanical engineering years ago. Went to Pratt Institute, and I worked for Grumman Aerospace prior to being a police officer back in 1988. In 1990, I joined the accident investigation team. I'm sure you've seen my name in the paper an awful lot if there's any fatal accidents or serious motor vehicle collisions that require reconstruction. So that's my specialty and expertise. When Chief Baker heard about your complaint, he sent me out to do a little study. So what I did was I got on my motorcycle and I went down there and tried to find a safe location where I could run radar. I did it back at right at the break of winter, if we had one. I believe it was February or March maybe. I sat up there for a couple hours. I didn't get anybody speeding at that point. I'd come back on another date and I had got 2 people in about 3 hours. I can't recall their speeds at this time. Then I went up, let me get the exact dates. I went up the 6th through the 8th through the 10th. And when I ran the radar, what I did was I took everybody's speed that passed me, about 98 vehicles over 3 days, okay? I went out at different times, this way I could get a good study for you. And like the gentleman said, the lowest speed I had was 14 miles per hour. The fastest was 51. We issued 10 infractions over the 3 days, myself and another officer, Officer Croyce. What I did was I compiled all those numbers and I came up with an average speed of 29.94 miles per hour. Okay, so it's right around 30 miles per hour, the average speed of all the vehicles. And that's the way they determine speed limits also. They take a percentage of the fastest cars and the slowest cars, and then they decide what the safe speed limit for the road is. After I compiled all of that, then I did I looked into traffic calming devices, which they have several types. They have speed bumps, okay, which are for slower speeds. If you go fast over them, you have literally no effect whatsoever. But if it's in a parking lot, like the school, you go over it, it's very uncomfortable to go over. Then you have speed humps, which are normally wider. They're probably 12 to 10 feet wide, and they're anywhere from 3 to 4 inches in height. So when you go over it, it actually lifts the entire vehicle up instead of just jolting it. So if you do go over it at a quick speed, it actually lifts the vehicle up, so you do have to go over it slow. It's very uncomfortable. But you can go over them at, say, 25 miles per hour, but you do have to slow down. And then you have speed tables, which is just like it sounds. It has a little incline, and then it flattens out for 10 feet, and then it goes back down. Okay, those are a little bit more friendly. These all started over in Europe, I looked at your road, the way it's laid out, and the grades and everything, and then I did some research on federal regulations for, putting speed humps in. And, unfortunately, you're really not supposed to put them anywhere within 250 feet of a curb. You need proper lighting for signage so you could warn the motorists who are coming up, okay? And then you can't put them on anything that's more than an 8% grade, going downhill. Because with these type of traffic calming devices, when a vehicle does hit them, there's a high percentage of blowout, okay, on the sidewalks, because you can hit them at a pretty quick speed. The other downfalls of them are, anybody with any type of medical condition, if you can imagine, that just had gone through surgery, or has a previous back condition, they're gonna suffer from over each and every one. You know, different vehicles are gonna respond differently. You have buses, you know, when the school bus goes over, naturally the kids in the back, just from momentum, are gonna get jarred an awful lot. You know, they've definitely been known to cause motor vehicle accidents and collisions and some fatalities. And, you know, we already spoke about the, you know, the sidewalls blown out of somebody hits at a speed, probably, you know, 50 miles an hour plus. It also does add a lot of pollutants into the air from stopping and starting. You know, every time you stop and start, you're putting more fuel into the engine, and it's going to push more exhaust out. Naturally, for emergency vehicles, they can be very dangerous, and this is another thing I want to go over with you. If for every speed hump, it slows an ambulance or fire truck down anywhere from 4 to 10 seconds. Okay, and everybody knows that if somebody's trying to get to the emergency room as quick as possible, especially with any type of heart issue or cardiac arrest, you know, there's a huge study that has been done where seconds will save lives. You know, and the other study I did, if you really wanted to slow the people down to the speed limit on Chambers Road to 25 miles per hour, you have to put a speed hump within every, I think it's 250 to 275 feet. Okay, and from the layout of Chambers Road, it's near impossible. You know, the one section I think, looking at the roadway and the surface, is right before Zinn Road, but you do have an 8% grade, but it does flatten out at one point. You know, you could probably put one there, but I don't believe it's going to solve your problem. And the other part of the study I did was the time frame. Most were in the morning when the high school students were going to school, and when they were coming home. And then we would get, you know, a couple stragglers after that. I stayed out some nights, you know, kind of late, 7 o'clock. But by that time, you know, there's not much through traffic. You know, if you do place those out like that, one thing it's very dangerous for is a motorcyclist. And if we were out there, and the only way to really effectively run any type of speed enforcement on Chambers is with a motorcycle, because we could pull it off to the side of the road. To try and get a vehicle over there, it's very difficult. And you have to imagine the fastest speed we got, I believe, was, like I said, 51. So if you take 51 miles per hour and multiply it by 1.466, that's how many feet per second you go. So when a vehicle goes by me or one of my officers, at say 51 miles per hour, by the time we turn the bike on, start it up, click the camera, and go after them, they're already 300 to 400 feet down the road. So we have to try and catch up to them. So if there are these speed humps on the road, you know, we're not going to catch up to them. Yes, ma'am.
Were you sitting in the same spot when you were getting
I did it in the area of, what 100 and... 68?
Yes.
Okay.
Down towards the
And then I did it at 22, 25. And the reason why I did it there was because there's a downhill grade. The other place I really can't do it are on sharp curves, which we all know the Chambers is. You know, there's a lot of sharp and blind curves. And somebody loses control. I mean, myself and also want much protection. So, and we need line of sight to run radar. So you have to see the vehicle, you get the Doppler effect, which is audible, and then you get the readout, which is the speed. And that's how you break for a speeding infraction. Yes, ma'am.
Are you allowed to sit in private driveways when
Yes.
you give you permission?
Will you give us permission?
Well, like if homeowners say, please use our driveway for
Yeah, we can
radar.
pull on the, you know, I've never run into that in 23 years, but yeah, we usually pull off into driveways and nobody ever says anything to us. That's what I did at your house, and I did it over 25, and I did it at,
Well, I'm right across from 45.
we were right close to 25.
What's the effect of the hump on the snowplows?
That's another, it's very dangerous. I talked with Kevin Murphy from Highway, and I did some research also. it's dangerous for the plows, you know, it causes some damage when they hit it on a curve, when they're turning, okay? And that's probably another reason why the federal regulations don't want it on an 8% grade for the snowplow coming down or going up the hill. Because the edge will catch it. They want, you know, a good, like horizontal base where you can come across it just straight. And the truck does have to slow down considerably. So
what was your criteria for deciding to put a bump? Given the speed limit of 25, what was your tolerance there that would make the decision go one way or the other?
Well, it's not up to me to, you know, come up with this design. If you're asking me my opinion on whether speed humps or any type of traffic calming device should be put on Chambers Road, I personally say no, because it's just too much
I
liability.
personally agree with you, but I'm in a minority there.
Hey, Mike, it was Abdul Muhammad, our engineer. I think he identified 2 or maybe even 3 spots that would be a good spot for a speed hump. So he has a base criteria based on line of sight, how far away you can, there's Abdul right now, so they come out of Abdul. But the question was, how did you pick, I'm summarizing, but how did you pick that spot for a speed hump? And then just kind of go on what you did. This is Abdul Muhammad, our traffic engineer.
How are you doing? We tend to do a lot of things, you know, in order to pick up the spot. One of the things we look at is the visibility, where the speed hump could be seen from both directions very well. We don't tend to work where there's a bend or something, so one of the areas is cycling, the speed hump. Another thing which I look at when I'm doing it is in terms of equidistance. When you have a section of a long Chambers Road, we somewhat trying to find the middle point. Because otherwise you can have people who can be able to, if you put it very far, people will just go over the speed hump and then they'll kind of speed up. So midpointing somewhat to slow down on both sides, equal benefits with things. The third part which I kind of also look at is in terms of driveways. I'm looking at an area where you cannot have much noise. To find an area where somewhat, if possible, where there's not driveways or in front of someone's front yard or front room, sitting rooms. So we tend to be in those areas to reduce the noise. Those are a couple few things which we can look up and pick at the section. So my purpose of going there and marking in the street, as you could see, I just wanted everybody to be kind of aware where we're trying to do, which location we're trying to install the signs, and if anyone has issues or questions, to be able to express it.
I live on the other end, so they come down the hill 100 miles an hour and they come up the hill 100 miles an hour. So
That's by
they
25.
get out I'm on 120.
120 towards King Street?
Yeah, so they come. I've been up there since '58, so not at my house, my parents' house, but I've been down that road as a kid myself. And coming off King Street, they come down the whoop-de-doos and they go 100 miles up the hill. They come down the hill and they go 100 miles over whoop-de-doo and they crash in my neighbor's house at the corner.
Yep.
So I think we all want something where we are. I want a stop sign at Sturtevant Drive.
We did have
Where I saw your speed bump is the worst place on the whole road. He just said it's not supposed to be 250 feet from a curve, and that curve is like a big S, and then there's the speed bump.
the other thing we also do is to find which locations speed takes where speed is very high. So we did set some counters and traps to try to figure where the speed is higher. We find a location where the stretch is longer, the speed was very, very high.
I don't feel that's a good spot at all.
What about the stop sign at Sterling?
That's what, forget the speed bump, you jump over.
No, there was a couple over the years that we have had a question on the stop signs. But again, Sterling is all kind of far because this problem is not really to the north of the street. It's almost like the whole stretch of the road. It's not, I can't say probably it's just one location, another location, people go slow. I tend to look at the whole section. So even if we go Sterling, it's a little far, people who are toward the south will suffer more.
And about your stop sign, you can't legally put a stop sign on a roadway to control speed.
But it's an intersection here, coming down a hill 100 miles an hour, these people are pulling out.
I understand.
I may not, I don't live on Chambers, but I live on Sturtevant. And in order for me to pull out of that road in the morning, you were talking before about line of sight. I don't have line of sight looking up towards the road, coming from Zinn.
To your
I
left,
almost
yes.
have to pull out into the middle of the intersection. Now, they crest over that hill coming down at 45 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
If I get caught one day, they're gonna
Yeah,
T-bone me
T-bone
so
me.
hard.
It's,
It's gonna be ridiculous, and there's no way, I mean, the school buses, they run past the school buses in the morning with the stop signs out, because they're going so fast.
Yeah, those are the areas.
It is
of-
almost impossible, if you put, or you sat at Sturtevant, and you wouldn't have line of sight of people coming over that hill and coming down, but they'd be passing you doing at least 45 miles an hour.
I'm on 37. We'll come down to Sturgis, that's what they take off. When they take off, they come down, and they go up. They're going more than 25 or 50 miles an hour. So, it's right across the street. And at nighttime, it's almost like a drag. Coming off of King Street, they start at the top of that hill to get to the road. And you stop there, you get every other driver. At nighttime, it starts after 7 o'clock. That's what it's.
I'm 138. I've got the worst of both worlds. I have Chambers and I have King Street. And we've had some near misses at our house when our kids were little, standing up at the top of the driveway for the bus with people swinging into King Street. And our telephone pole in front of our property has been snapped twice because they come down, as the gentleman said, they come down that straightaway, they hit our little roller coaster, and they're airborne. And
Well,
I
that's what they do,
understand.
those kids.
Yes,
That's what they do. Drive
And a
over.
couple of months ago, there was an accident there in front of our property. And story is that I know people, and they came to me and said that this young lady had an accident to the right, hit a tree and a rock and whatever. And she told the officers that a car was pulling out of our driveway. And she swerved to avoid us. Well, after some conversation with the young lady, she was speeding. So to know that someone's trying to blame the habitats of that house and pulling in and out of the driveway with them swerving, well, if you're doing 25, there's no way you can't miss us coming out of our driveway. So I agree. I mean, King Street, Chambers, great where you want to put this speed bump, but once they hit Sturtevant, they gain momentum. And I've heard that you get kudos for driving Chambers. If you're a new driver and you can hit a certain speed coming up and down Chambers, you rate. You
Well,
are,
they make bets coming by
Yes.
your house,
Yes,
going
they
over
do.
Yes, ma'am.
that hump.
Before I came here tonight, I thought the speed bump would be good, but after listening to your talk about the emergency vehicles and the motorcycle, you know, the police, I don't think I'd want a speed bump, but is there any way, instead of doing something like that, to have the police come, you know, have you schedule a scheduled time to just come, like in the mornings, certain times, or the evenings?
The officers in my unit and myself are going to try and get out there as much as possible. But we do cover the entire city.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we wrote.
And you kind of don't want to schedule specific times, because then the drivers know you're going to be.
Well, I
See,
mean,
intermittent.
no, I guess I didn't mean specific.
Yeah.
I meant, is there any way that the police can come to Chambers Road more often?
Yeah, what we try and do is we try and hit different times, different locations on different dates, and what that does, it gives, the public, like the omnipresence. They don't know when you're gonna be there, so they try and slow down. It doesn't happen overnight, but it will occur, people will start slowing down. Yes?
I live at 114A Chambers Road here in Smaha, and like Chip said, how they just build up speed and momentum. I would like to be able to walk on my road. I like to take a walk. I like to get out there. I have children that do the same. Common courtesy when you see someone walking, I know there's a lot of dog walkers in here, would be to slow down. They don't slow down. You ask them to slow down, they give you the finger and they step, they slow. I've been on that road just to try to slow traffic down because I will go 25 miles an hour because that's what the speed limit is, maybe a little higher, not much. I've had kids pass me out in the middle of the road. Pass me out.
Yep.
I'm like, are you kidding me? To be fair to you, I I don't see how you can possibly patrol it unless you live down that road to know how bad it is. It's in the middle of the night, it's all day.
I mean, my dog got hit 8 years ago on that road, hit and run, left that dog dead on the front of my house, on the side of the road.
You know, one of the things that we've had, you know, the speed hump we've had, you know, it's been hit or miss. I'm sure you got that now, right? Some neighbors, streets, it's a good application just because of the nature of it. I know we have one on Lakeside that's worked out really well. Somebody mentioned Virginia Avenue, it was a disaster, the people were ready to kill me after they begged me for it to begin with. So it has been hit or miss. One of the things that's, you know, it's just one more deterrent would be, you ever see those posts with the signs on it saying you are going?
Yeah, in front of the building, that's great.
I mean, I could pop a couple of those in there, but I mean, there's no guarantee that somebody will never speed on it. But I mean, if that, you know, we've had some success at Park Avenue. We have those up on Park Avenue. They've done
I
okay.
think that works for the adults.
That's
We
exactly what I was.
had a speed sign on our lawn for a couple of weeks.
Right, yeah, they got us put up in the
Yeah,
big one.
and so we don't need to try to see how fast they come. That's all.
Can't put a camera on the.
They use those out west.
You know, use
Okay, yeah, you can't use them here, but out west they used them, okay? And they're taking them all out because,
What are our options?
Yeah.
Explain it simple. You really don't think it's a good idea for us to have speed bumps? I kind of agree, since this woman back here stated before, you know, it is pretty dangerous
They
to
are
go out and
dangerous.
everything. So what are actually our options to stop this? I mean, somebody eventually is gonna get hit bad on that.
Can I just
Like
get-
Marion said, somebody walking.
One other thing I saw that was done pretty good in other communities that I visited is they have, you know, again, all these things are, it's just a combination trying to get people to slow down. I don't know if you've ever seen those signs that go in your front lawn, they look like the political signs, but they say, I have children, slow down, or I've seen those, and again, it's not gonna stop, you know, it may stop 1 out of 3, but if 1 out of 3 slows down because they saw it, well, that's one less person you have speeding on the road. It's not gonna stop anybody, but the best way, and I think Rory would agree, would be, you know, enforcement, which we, you know, we're committed to doing, you know, to work as a neighborhood to try to get folks to slow down through maybe a strategy of those signs. It's a combination of everything. There's no one magic bullet that'll get, because you can't be there, you know, 24/7. And then there's different parts of the road, right? I mean, and look, I grew up there, and Chipper did too, and I'll tell you, you know, when we were in high school, everybody sped down that road 30 years ago. So, doesn't make it right. I'm just telling you, we want to try to get things slowed down a little bit. There's a number of different ways you can do this.
Are you able to release to us ages of people that you actually gave infractions to?
I can tell you the ones I gave infractions to were anybody from 17 up to 50 years age. 50 years of age. And they were, you know, they were from the neighborhood, okay? And actually, they're not happy with me when they get the ticket.
Are they here tonight?
You know. There was some people from your neighborhood. Now, you know, to answer your question about how we're going to slow this down, how we're going to stop speeding, I don't know the exact year, it might have been 1932 that they came out with traffic radar. Police have been enforcing traffic laws for many years. It's statistically, since the 40s, it's cost the country the largest amount of payout over any other crime. It's the largest problem in any city, from New York City to the smallest town. You know, traffic. It usually takes the lives of most young people, motor vehicle accidents, drinking and driving, speeding. Nobody has a definitive answer yet. You know, I mean, if they had something to totally stop it, I'd probably be out of a job, right? Because, you know, we would know that exactly how to respond. Excuse me?
Increase the fine.
Well, the fines are pretty stiff.
And that's dictated by statute. That's not, you know, we can't do that here. That the state has to do that. In fact, all those fines that we don't get to keep, we have to send them to the state of Connecticut.
They're like $225.
So I wish we could keep this.
Is there an education program for the high school?
Excuse me?
If we identify some of the problem as being kids, and obviously status and getting out of school and all these things, have we tried an education program?
Well, that's what Chief Baker sent me to a class called Dare to Prepare. Okay, myself, Officer Preuss, and Officer Bavard, they're officers in the traffic division. And what that does is that gives us the ability to go and talk to the high school students about the safeties and dangers of driving their vehicle. Okay, and we're going to start that with, you know, the next high school year. Okay, talk to them about dangers of natural speeding, drinking and driving, texting, you know, distracted driving, all of that. When my children got their licenses, I took the fuse out of the radio. So they couldn't use the radio, just because I didn't want them, you know, I wanted them focused on the road, not on changing the channel or speaker. Yes?
You know, I know we blame it all a lot on high slope, but there are a lot of adults that.
Oh, yeah, I stopped
So
them
there's a
over
lot of
fractions.
New York State cars, somehow they found that was a cut through. So there's
GPS.
There's a lot of,
Well, they don't want
a lot
to-
of New York State, and is there such thing as making it not through traffic? Probably
Public
not.
roadway.
Yeah.
So,
You can't say, okay, people from New York can't go through
When I
here.
first moved here, this was 22 years ago, it was not barely paved. There were, potholes all over, and then what happened is, thankfully, the city, in a way, yes and no, came and paved it and put yellow lines down. It was like,
I mean, in itself,
That's the-
any type of curve is a traffic calming device. A pothole is a traffic calming device. It's anything that's going to slow
I love the potholes
speed
in
down.
Chambers Road.
Yes, ma'am, back.
Well,
I can accommodate
I'm
that.
not saying as to how to not necessarily have speed bumps, and I understand all that as well, is to, again, not have through traffic. That's really where the biggest concern is. Everybody, for some reason, thinks Chambers Road is the perfect shortcut. I've lived there for nearly 50 years. I don't see it as a shortcut. I'm happy to get off of Chambers and get out to Clapboard Ridge, where it's clear sailing, I can see other traffic, I can see everything that's going on, and I really don't understand the concept of it being a shortcut. If there was a way to, have people understand that it's
Well, I did a
not.
study on motor vehicle collisions too, and the majority of motor vehicle collisions that occurred anywhere near Chambers were Chambers and Clapboard Ridge. By far, not even, over a 6-year period, I think there were 15 motor vehicle collisions on Chambers itself over 6 years. Someone from Deere, okay? The majority of them, I think 30, were at Clapboard and Chambers. So that's the intersection. Yes.
I live at 39 Chambers, and within the last couple of years, within 100 foot of my mailbox, I've had 2 cars on my stone wall, 1 car on the telephone pole across the street. The neighbor's stone wall just got mashed with a car, and he fished 2 out of the brook.
And one in the front yard.
Well, one of my cars, and 2 out of the brook. It's a very dangerous place. What you lose sight of is that it's the kids' road of choice. They think it's a miniature Le Mans. Nice hills, nice curves, up, down, around, and when high school gets out, from 2 o'clock on, you come and sit in my driveway, and you'll be paying city debt for a month. With fines.
On which?
Top of the hill, and they just start down that hill. It's like Lamont. I mean, seriously, they're doing at least 50.
I think you made a very good point that the bumps are a bad idea. I thought bumps were a bad idea. I was born and raised on that road. I think the bumps are a horrible idea. He broke his neck 3 years ago and had to be taken by ambulance, and the ambulance went like 1 mile an hour. If he ever had to contend with speed bumps, he probably wouldn't have lived to the emergency room. But I think what we are looking for, can we possibly have a commitment? Behavior is only changed through time and repetition. And I think if we could have a commitment from the police department that once a week or so, I grew up on Chambers, but I live now on Ridgecrest, and at least once a week coming out of Ridgecrest, I almost get T-boned making a left-hand turn onto Chambers from cars flying up, coming down from Chambers Road. If we could just have a commitment that there will be a consistent effort of
You and your motorcycle will do more than any 10 speed bumps on that road.
Absolutely.
You guys have been up there, and I notice now when I'm out working on my lawn, speeds dropped a little bit. There's still room to go.
It has made a
But slow down a little bit.
This is the thing. We will be out there, and like I said, over a 3-day period, we issued 10 infractions. You have to realize the 4 of us in the traffic division, per month, we issue anywhere from 345 infractions to 540. Okay?
Comes out the other end.
So you can imagine the other roadways that we go to, where instead of writing 10 tickets over 3 days, we write 30 tickets in an hour on the same roadway. So there are roadways in the city that need some, there are a lot of roads in the city that need attention. We'll do our best to get out there as often as possible. We'll try to, give that omnipresence out there where people aren't gonna know when we're out there. And hopefully that will slow it down. Speed bumps only, or speed traffic calming devices, they slow traffic down about 18% the speed. So, you know, the other study I showed, you know, I mean, I gave you the speeds, but it would only drop the speed of the vehicle down about 5 or 6 miles an hour on an average. So if you're looking at some vehicles going through at 51, you're only going to slow them down to, you know, 44, 43 miles per hour. The other thing is, like I said, in order to get them to do 25 through the entire road, you're going to need about 13 speed humps on the road. You just can't do it. Because once they go over one, they're going to speed up. They're going to add more pollutants in the air. Every time they hit a speed bump, because we've seen it on Virginia and all, they slow down, they stop. The can of Coke they have in their hand, or the beer bottle, or the paper that they don't want, or the pack of cigarettes, they slow down, boom, out the window it goes. So I wouldn't want it in front of my house. Plus the noise, you know, it's
The Virginia Avenue one, the best story I have about that, I think the chief and I were standing out there, or somebody might have been Roy, and we just put it in, we're all excited, so we're out there watching it. A guy, a landscaper, comes flying down, ignores all the signs, goes flying over the speed hump, disconnects the trailer from the speed hump. The trailer goes rolling right by my feet, and I watch it go right into somebody's front lawn and tear up the lawn. And, you know, it's just, it depends. There are good applications where it makes sense. If you were grammar school, right? I think there's one in there, schoolhouse, where people aren't going from point A to point B. They work well. I mean, it's your choice. We'll put it if you want.
There's some places they work. We have about 6 of them in the city, and we've done these before and after studies. I can tell you that. There's some places where we put them. Come ask for the second ones.
Yeah.
So it's not really, my opinion is all not very, to say that they won't be able to fully work. In some places they work, and I'm saying they work based on what those people who live on the streets tell us. Mountainville is a very good example. They ask for more if we could do more, but we kind of say one is over enough.
You have questions there?
May I ask a multi-part question, primarily directed to the engineers? Is 25 along the length of Chambers Road the appropriate speed for the entire road? And is it achievable for a normal driver to maintain 25? The second thing is, I thought today as I was driving in, there aren't very many signs along the road that reinforce what that speed limit is. So is there some sort of statute mandate, or even just a good thought that says, hey, why don't we put more speed limit signs there? And then finally, is there anything from an engineering or a road realignment point of view that could help take out some of the danger, assuming that speed will still occur at sunset?
Chambers Road used to be about 20 years, it used to be a very, very narrow road. But at that time, the speed was not as high as it is now. Over the years, we kind of widened up, taking some of the curve, taking some of the trees which were very close to the road, and speed picking up. So if we go up and you do try and make it better than what it is today, all the speed is going to go up much higher than what it is. So there's a kind of balance where we say, how far do you want to go? You make it more straight up, people are going to go a little higher at high speeds. So 25 is, if everyone was going 25, 25 would be adequate to go there. I think it's not very, very hard. But what we find is most probably 70 to 80% go above 25. And that's the
Chambers Road is only used as a shortcut.
Yes.
Aside the tenants that live there.
Most of them.
And the realignment was done about 7 or 8 years ago, which was kind of a half-assed one, but that increased the speed on the road. Now, people can go right down King Street, there's a traffic light, they can get on the highway, they don't have to pull out of Chambers and duck cars, but they keep coming through there. Fire trucks, ready-mix trucks, every lawnmower that goes up that neck of wood pulling his trailer. We get all of that stuff through there, and then in the morning, we have the traffic trying to beat the school bus. They follow them all the way down King Street. The bus has got to go out on the highway and come this way. They all come through Chambers Road to beat the school bus back out on Chambers Road. That's the crap that's got to stop, and I don't know how you stop. I'll tell you what the problem is. You're the guy that should be able to stop it.
Just to react on the signs, I know that we discussed that. Is there appropriate signage along the length?
There's one on the whole
We
road.
can increase the signage, that's not an issue where.
So perhaps additional notifications.
Slow
what the
children.
suggested about the speed is.
You know,
We can increase the
I
signage.
could do that your speed is, but if you think it's.
That's what the purpose of you being here, so you
A
can
challenge.
know the good and bad of these things, and we come to one decision you all support, and we go along with it.
The speed limit on the road is 25 miles per hour. Whether it's posted at 1,000 spots or not, through my past experience, if somebody's gonna go above that, they're not gonna care about the speed sign. Mayor Boughton had a great suggestion, and that was gonna be my suggestion too, as far as helping decrease the speed on the road. Would be put the speed limit sign up, okay, with the display of the speed. That backed by the officer doing enforcement out there, okay? When somebody comes around that corner and they, or hits the straightaway, and they see that their speed is 45, and all of a sudden they go past and they see one of us sitting there, and they get a $225 infraction, they're gonna think twice next time they come around the corner, and they see their speed reading 45. Don't you agree with me?
Yes. Can you
Yeah.
put that on the sign that says speed limit, ticket is $225?
No, because it goes in increments. We don't write, I mean, we have we have a bit of a criteria. We try to write people, anybody who goes 15 or above over the speed limit, I don't feel comfortable pulling somebody over that's doing 30 miles an hour in a 25 mile an hour zone and writing them $176 infraction. Because, Chambers Road, everybody has gone 30 on it, correct?
Yeah.
Because if you tell me you haven't, so you've done 30, and we don't like warnings don't work either. Get a warning because it goes in the glove box. Nobody cares.
Is there
Is there
a speed
signage
hump
for
on?
disturbing drive to indicate that that's a hidden driveway or a hidden road? I don't know.
I didn't see it.
There's a speed bump on, I think it's Juniper Ridge where there's a lake, a little.
Lakeside, yeah, it's on Lakeside.
Now, how does that work out for the residents? That's like right in front of their home.
It works out very well.
Right?
It is located in a spot that's, there's no house directly across from it.
Mhm.
And the kids use, just like Chambers, they use that back way to cut up to the high school
Yeah.
in the morning. So it's worked well.
So
That's
slow
that's
down
been a
or
success
maybe-
story, absolutely.
Because I go on that road occasionally because I like.
You're
looking-
cutting through there, aren't you?
No, I'm looking at those ones.
All right.
But
It's been successful,
I'm impressed
yeah.
that they have that and that was
But it's a
very
shorter
fun.
road, it's not as windy, it's straight, you can see it. I mean, look, you know what we could do, I'm willing to put the speed hump down, give it a shot, and if you don't like it, we'll take it out.
But that's
It's
not-
double work, it's a waste of money.
But
though.
is that not right in front of someone's home? I mean.
No, it's off a little bit, it's in front of a lot, but it's close, it's very close.
Yeah, okay.
I understand what you're saying. I've got a very big concern. Kind of following your train of thought about safety. When you did the survey for the particular hump and its location, that's an icy area. Did you take that into consideration?
What?
That particular part of the road has a tendency of icing up in winter.
Yes, we did, I did take, the surface is not very good right now. This is a little mitigation which I think both will be taken care of. But at the same time, probably that's an area where you can slow it down.
So I guess my concern is it's icy if there's a speed hump there and they are going fast. What's your experience with what happens? My experience is when you lose traction and you have more accidents.
I don't think, as you approach the speed hump, that's where you're going to pick the speed. I think you're going to pick the speed after the speed hump.
One thing that does happen,
Ices.
one thing that happens on Virginia, the speed hump is gone, but the signs are still there. We left the signs and paint in there, it fakes people out every time. Still think it's there. They
I still slow down.
Yeah.
My cars are both gone.
I don't know, maybe we stumbled on a new.
We have two speed humps on Blair Ridge Road, up Blair Ridge Road. And those who are paid for the question themselves. It's very
I think what we want is to solve the problem. Okay? Personally, I don't think a speed bump is going to solve it. I think enforcement is the way that you're going to solve it. I don't think one speed bump is gonna do it for that road, and, many things have been brought up about what's appropriate or where to put it. I live at 37, which is in the first, I think the bad curve going north, first bad curve going north. As soon as there's the intersection is in, then it's basically straight past Ridgecrest, and then there's a bad curve. And I have 2 accidents every year, at least, in my yard. I've had a car upside down in my driveway. My telephone pole has been snapped since I've been here, only 6 or 7 years. We have a young daughter, and we're concerned about that. I don't think a speed bump is going to, at least not help us. But I think you need to enforce it. I'm curious if you know how many accidents have happened.
Yeah, over the past 5 years, it's been 15 on Chambers. Like I said, Chambers and Clapboard is much more, and then Chambers and King. There's been a lot. What we can do, I mean, if you want, we can go up there and try and enforce the speed for a while and then see how that works out.
Can you put that on the, if you can't put the fine on the sign, the speed sign, can you say strictly enforced? That at least makes me take a little more notice. When I see strictly enforced, I say, okay, they mean business here.
You got to back it up.
I just wanted to, I mean, the speed bump and all the, I'm thinking the observation has been down on that side, the Zinn Road side, okay? I'm still down on the King Street side. And I don't see how monitoring speeds down there are gonna alleviate what we've got going on.
It's gonna be the average speed of the roadway.
Yeah.
And we will set up by you. I just did a study, just so I can come here with some information for you,
Right.
to see if there really was a speeding problem. Because I've gone to many roads, because believe me, we get dozens upon dozens of people complaining about speed on the road. And we go there, and I've done studies, and the fastest car I get is like 26 miles an hour. Sometimes the narrowness of the road. So we have to go out and investigate a little bit just to make sure. So yes, I agree with you, there is a problem.
Because I did want to tell the gentleman too, there was a speed limit sign in front of our property. It got taken down with a car accident.
Yeah, I remember that.
Is the sign still gone?
It's gone.
Oh, that's
It never
bad.
came back.
What is your address?
138.
Okay, well, I can take care of
I
that.
remember, I mean, Rory, you just said you all the accidents over a 5-year period, how many, 50 or 50?
15.
15.
That's on Chambers.
But that's cars with gears or just?
No, that's cars, that's personal injury, that's,
Everything been reported to us.
property damage.
That's 3
It's a lot. You do. I'm not telling you don't have a speeding problem, or that we're not here looking to help you with the speeding problem. We want to eliminate the speeding problem also. We want to eliminate every speeding problem in the city. Every motor vehicle accident if we could.
Yeah, well, it does. I mean, you have to have speeding signs on both ends because, and it's got to be coming from Chambers to King Street and then King Street to Chambers. Because working one side isn't going to do anything because then we still got the little foolish ones that come off of King Street because they're going to ride those hills going down.
Can I just get a quick consensus from you guys? Initially, this whole meeting was brought about because 70% of you wanted speed humps, or majority of you wanted speed humps. Based upon the conversations that we're having, the dialogue, does the majority of the group agree that with increased police presence, enforcement, better signage, do the majority feel that that's a good way to go at this problem right now? And see if that can be, see if that can have some type of impact before we go around on the speed hump or two?
I think the signage, I think needs to include stop signs. It's those 2 spots.
With a stop sign pulling out of Chambers, is that completely out of the question? I mean, that pulling out of Sturban, is that?
On Chambers Road?
Yeah, coming out of
No,
Sturban.
you cannot legally put a stop sign to.
Because there's no line of sight.
Well, no, because it's a main roadway and Sturban is a side street.
Well, there's a stop sign on Mount Street, in case you didn't know. Why do they stop at Zinn when there are signs?
Yeah, it's a more different condition we go.
Well, it's a blind curve for the people coming out
No,
of
it's not nearly as bad as Zinn Road is.
Okay,
Sit in Sturban for a couple of days.
I will. I will. Believe me, we don't have a problem giving out infractions. Right. We definitely don't have a problem getting out of
I
fashion.
think 70% of people just want the problem solved, and we're gonna do the best way to get the problem solved. You clearly made your case with the speed bumps.
And he made the
It's
best
only a
point.
temporary
His
fix,
standpoint
what
is
you're
it's
saying.
about, reinventing the wheel from the standpoint of behavioral.
How
Yeah,
long can you
behavior
go
needs to be
for?
changed, and it takes time to
Until
take
you
it.
don't do it.
Well,
It's a temporary fix. What you need to do is somehow deter traffic cutting through.
Well, like I said, I mean, the only way to effectively run, and I'll reiterate this again, the only way to effectively run radar on Chambers Road really is with a motorcycle. If we put, and like I said, if somebody's going 51 miles an hour down Chambers, unless you put 13 speed humps to keep them consistently at 25 miles per hour, okay? If somebody's gonna do 50 and we're gonna go after them, if you multiply 1.466 times miles per hour, that's how many feet per second they move. It takes us 3 to 4 seconds before we can get the bike started, get the camera going, get the kickstand up, and go after them, okay? So now they're gonna be 300 feet in front of us. So we have to catch up to them, okay? If there's a speed hump on the road, and speed humps are very dangerous for a two-wheel vehicle. If you have a motorcycle that's going down the road, and he's going into a curve or a turn, and he hits a speed hump, you can forget it.
All right, so
He's
as you
he's
know.
not gonna make it out of it.
So
And
the
I'm not gonna
roads that do have
suggest my
speed humps,
officers
do you
for
need
that.
police patrol on them? The
Excuse
roads
me?
that do have the speed humps, that presently have speed humps, do you still need police patrol on them?
I would say yes,
You do?
because, because people are still gonna go fast over them time to time. Because you'll find that they've also done tests, and I mean, I wish I could have brought videos in for you to show you. They have different vehicles with different suspension systems that can go over one of those speed humps at 51 miles per hour, and it's only gonna give you, a certain amount of G's to your body. You're really not gonna feel much, and they'll run right over it. So if somebody's in a Subaru WRX, okay, those rally racers, and we've all seen them, and that's what the high school kids have, and they go fast in them, they're gonna go over that speed hump without a problem. Then you have somebody in a 71 Monte Carlo, they're not gonna have the same, like I said in the beginning when I was speaking to you, speed humps affect, any type of traffic calming device is gonna affect each vehicle differently. So when you have the firefighters going to a fire coming down Chambers Road, okay, and this is another known study and a fact, if they're facing the opposite way, like some cabs, they could sit facing backwards, okay? When fire apparatus goes over a speed hump, they've had some firefighters fracture their vertebrae in their neck from getting bounced up and hitting their skulls on the cab ceiling, okay? And like I said, the same thing with ambulances in case of an emergency. You are gonna slow them down 4 to 10 seconds at every speed hump, just so you're aware of that. It's a fact. So, it's not up to me if the speed humps go in, it's not up to me to design them to at dual, and, you're requesting from the mayor, and he's willing to do whatever it takes. I think you can all see that, right? He wants to solve your problem, and so does Chief Baker, as much as you want it solved. And, we're trying to give you the best course of action to do this.
But isn't the speed bump going to cause a suspension problem over time?
Of course, everybody's going to suffer on this. Just, if you think that, okay, it's not going to affect me because I live on Chambers, you're wrong. It's going to affect your vehicles. It's going to affect the city plows. It's going to affect the fire apparatus. It's going to affect the school buses. Yes.
Would it not be more cost effective for the city and more omnipresent to have stop signs at each of the intersections for Ridgecrest, Sturdivant, and Zinn, have them all 3 ways? It sounds like line of sight is an issue for people, and if we can advocate for speed hump, why don't we advocate for stop signs?
You can't, because legally you can't put that.
So, officer, sorry, to ask the question differently, what are the requirements to install stop signs in?
Well, I would have to do a little bit more research to give you an exact answer, but I know because you're not the first contingent to request a stop sign to control speed, and there is a legal statute that does not allow you
What
to.
are the requirements to install a stop sign?
Well, it's
safety, is it a?
No, not safety, from a side street entering a main thoroughfare.
Right.
Yes.
Is that
At
statute?
a 4-way intersection that's equal, yes, you could have a 4-way stop sign. because each roadway is equal, okay? You can't just put up a stop sign just to control speed, you know, like coming out of Sturban. And we can investigate it for you, and I will investigate it for you.
Speed is a descriptor, but the challenge is safety.
Excuse me?
Speed is just a descriptor. The challenge, the problem is safety.
So I will investigate that.
Is that, excuse me, is that statute, city ordinance, or is that state?
No, it's a state statute.
Because in New York, Cherry Street in Bedford, from Katona, from 117, people would use Cherry Street as a cutoff to get from 35 to 117. It was horrible. They put stop signs, just like we had on Chambers, the same kind of intersection. People don't use it as a cut through anymore. They don't. They go around 117 and down to Sawmill. It's amazing how it works. And then in Santa Monica, where my son lives, they have speed humps all over that town, all over. It's done an amazing job controlling traffic and speed.
Well, didn't you say there's federal regulations that prevent speed humps from being installed
Well,
on an incline?
they're not regulations, they're
Guidelines. So then it makes it a moot point. Okay. Because we have curves and we have inclines.
Well, I believe that's why, I mean, you can direct that to the engineer, but that's why his design came up with three speed humps across the entire road.
No, we just one.
One.
It's about 3/4 mile.
You know, so I mean, that's why.
One stop sign. How about that? One stop sign, two stop signs.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this something that we vote on tonight, if we want the speed bump or not? Because the gentleman in the middle asked, is this something everybody wants, but we didn't, people said yes or no, but.
Well, I want to get a sense as to how the group felt from a standpoint, because, you know, Mayor Ballin and through all the police, they're all for trying to resolve the situation in the neighborhood. Initially, it was created by the desire for speed humps, but the more you talk to the group, the more we've talked it out. It seems like signage and
But
enforcement.
that's, Sean, that's all we were offered. That's why we went with that document, because that's all the town offered us.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yep,
That's
absolutely.
was not our ultimate decision.
Well, who still wants the speed?
I want the one
Install.
speed hump and two stop signs.
You want a speed hump and two stop signs?
Yes, sir.
Take it slow.
I have a question for you, Mayor.
Yes.
Who pays for this? We all do. According to our research, usually it is the citizens on the road that has to pay for it. Is that true? So it comes out of the budget in the city?
Yeah, and we're broke.
Yeah.
We're broke, we have no money, but I'll scrape together some money to put a speed hump for you. I think, look, I think we need to be clear about expectations. There's no way you're ever gonna stop anybody from speeding there ever again. That's just not gonna happen. I can put a cop out there every 10 feet, every hour, and somebody's gonna try to beat the system. Having said that, is there a way to reduce the volume of speeding to a tolerable level so you can walk your dog and do the things you want to do? I think that's what we have to hone in. Understanding that, you know, there's no way you're going to stop everybody from speeding all the time. I mean, it just doesn't, not going to work that way. So, what's the best way to do that? My recommendation is before we go all out and install a speed hump and cost the city a lot of money, which I'm willing to do, and they're not cheap. They're probably, we'll probably spend $10,000 to $15,000 putting that bad boy up. Would be to start off with some enhanced enforcement, some good signage. I like to throw up, I'm a big believer in those signs that say you are going. I know you guys call them the targets for kids, but you know, we base everything on what a kid is going to do. Then, you know,
I've seen some signs similar to that in other towns that rather than the big trailer.
No, it's a little on the post. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But if it's red, if you see
Yeah.
a number. maybe
Yeah, there's a number. We have some on Park Avenue that are pretty successful. Right. So I mean, try those. If it's still intolerable, then we come back and start with the speed up. As far as the stop sign goes, I got to defer to what these guys tell me is the appropriate thing to do, and I can't just sit with a stop sign there as much as I want to. I hear you, brother. It seems,
We'll definitely look into the stop sign.
I mean, yeah,
I can't make it as long.
There's no way to make visibility any better on that turn.
Is it coming on the Sturban? We can chill out.
That's what, yeah,
I haven't been out in a while.
Yeah, we've tried to have a neighbor and talk, but we can do that.
I haven't been out there in a while. We'll have to look at it. There are trees or there are trees. you know, generally there is I believe there's an ordinance that requires a certain distance that you have to move back your bushes if you're close to an intersection, so we'll have to check. I haven't done that.
My office actually gets a lot of calls about this time of year, all the Holbrook Road Road stop signs coming onto the street, covering sidewalks. So again, I encourage you when we're done, come up, get my number, call me when I'm from your home phone, because I'll personally go out to those residences and have them cut back the bushes or grass or any line of sight issues.
Would it help if I called you every time a speeder comes up the road? Is that good or bad? Would it help if I feel like somebody's doing 45 and I made a phone call to you?
I think you're gonna drive yourself nuts doing that. I mean, look, Rory's been out there doing a study, so you know those averages are the averages. They're not going to change. He knows how many times we have speeding there. We're not doubting it, so I don't know what we know that there's a challenge there. There's no question about that. But you know, if we can take, there's 10 speeders, and we can take 4 and slow them down, or 5 or 6. That's a victory, right? That's 6 less people racing up and down the street. So, and there's a number of different methods to do that. There's no one secret weapon. If there was, we would use it already.
And the important thing tonight is to have this dialogue so we can hear what you have to say and try to do something about it on our behalf and see if we can get results.
Well, Sterner Drive comes out on Chambers Road. You can't put a stop sign on Chambers Road?
No.
I'm going to look into it.
We're going to look into it.
We're going to look into it.
We're going to check it out.
And where Ridgecrest comes out, you put a stop sign there?
We'll check that out too.
I'll look into the entire roadway.
Why is there a stop sign at the end of Chambers in Zinni? You should never be one there. You said you're not supposed to put one on the thoroughfare.
Because Chambers is elevated over Zen.
I can't see down there though.
But the cars come out.
They have a yield. Why don't they have a stop sign?
There used to be a yield, right, Jim? Remember that?
Down there, we never had a stop sign. He said, I can't see down that hole.
But the yield doesn't work because if you can't see down the hole, you'll never see them coming.
So if I go through and they come up with the yield, they're gonna let me in. You should see what they do. They snap on your ass.
No, they don't.
They don't yield nothing.
The problem we have there is the grade of the road, the curvature of the road, and we do have school buses go to Zinni. During the winter time, they're not able to stop at Chambers Road. They would like to have that continuation zone, so we have to take that into account in the decision making of the site.
I like the idea too of the cops patrolling the neighborhood a little bit more, I have to say.
No, we'll do that.
I do believe it's a fact. Honestly, my car's been robbed probably, 6 times over the last year. How many, raise your hand, how many people replaced the mailboxes? Oh my God. 13 years I've replaced 4 mailboxes. You
Is
just
that
drive.
plows or the kids knocking them
It was
off?
kids, it was basement. I literally got up one night in my pajamas, threw on the road, and chased the one kid down here. And I did, and I caught the little son. I did. So if you do that again, I'll be sick of my life.
ATVs that are going up and down.
That's all. With an ATV, I mean, I'll try and find out where they live and I'll go to the house. I can tell you.
I mean, it's crazy.
What is the address of the people with the ATVs? You know that? What number do you live at? Sorry, what number do you live at?
I live at 37.
Oh, and we're down 114 too.
Yeah, no, there's a lot, the kids at night, especially now in the summer. The other thing is,
Since we're on that topic, can we actually ask what the laws are? Because there's an open space area where they like to go off of Chambers. And there's also the area where they have the BSA escalated out.
Private property, I mean, if they're trespassing, we can enforce that.
Look, the ATVs are not supposed to be on, they're not supposed to be a Terry Wild, they're not supposed to be on the west side open space. Problem is that we can't go chase these kids. I tie up a cop when he's busy trying to track down a robber. So it's a problem. If these guys do get a minute, they will go visit the house. We'll issue tickets, we've confiscated these things and made them, buy them back. It's a challenge, though, it is.
They're trying to understand the law.
Yeah. They're not supposed to be on.
Stop them from, riding down the road and talking to them before. I just want to understand what our rights are as citizens and whether or not they're allowed to go there. So you're saying, if I'm understanding this, that both areas which are public property, they're not supposed to ride 4-wheel vehicles. This is not private
say, just as a footnote for all of you people who can't control that, my children are scouts, and that VSA property that goes from Chambers Road back to King Street, that was an Eagle project, and that was about 100 man-hours. That was a lot of time those kids put in, and they're ruining it with the ATVs. So for those of you that can't catch them, please do, because they put in a lot of time on that Eagle project.
Oh, that is dangerous.
You can't run into them.
There's one new addition to the ATV problem. It's a kid that I would estimate is 12 or 13 years old, driving a little blue motorcycle, and he flies on it. And he's on the road.
Yeah, I'm on 58, which is kind of on the apex of the hill. And when coming out of my driveway, I look left, and it's clear. By the time I look right, there's a car coming left again. And I'm missed so often, have been pushed over onto the rocks of the other people's property because they don't know that they're coming to a summit, actually. And it makes it very, very difficult to get out.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, it's like a totally hidden drive. If I have to direct somebody, I say, please, you gotta look for the mailboxes and the fence across the street, but you know, I mean, it's pretty scary.
Okay, hopefully with the enforcement of the slow speeds down, we'll be able to get any.
And you're also going to do the speed, you know, the speed limit.
No, we're gonna, yeah, I think what comes out of here, right, is we're gonna investigate the stop signs.
Right.
We're gonna take a look at those. I'll see about, after July 1, because of the fiscal year starts, I'll see about securing some money for the "You Are Going" signs. These are the smaller ones, not the big trailer that are on the side of the road. And then we'll do some enhanced enforcement with Rory's team to be able to, there'll be at odd hours, because again, we don't want to set a pattern, as leaders know, to do write some tickets and some paper, and then and some signage. We gotta get some signage up there, speeding, you know, no speeding, yada. So we're gonna try that and see if working together we can do that. I've also, I know it's silly, but I've seen it work. I mean, I've seen those signs that go in the front lawn saying, slow down, there are kids playing here, and the thing doing that. And maybe we'll pick up a couple hundred of those, and you know, if you guys don't put up fines, no pressure. And again, the objective here is to slow down. If you slow down one car, you want, right? Okay, because you're not gonna slow down everything. But to get people to slow down, or, you know, even, I don't know, are there any child at play signs down there, or anything like that? Right, so we'll throw some of those up too, to try to get people to slow down.
And you know, Mayor, will you be doing those?
I will be there
signs
personally for you.
both- Okay. You'll be amazed.
I know your house well.
Will you be doing those, slow
Both
down
ends.
on both ends?
Yeah, you gotta get one going this way and one going that way, so we'll park them. But you wanna give them an opportunity to really wind the car up, right? So if you do it right when they pull in, it doesn't.
Right, right.
So you can see it going each way.
Take care of the mailbox.
And then, you know what, we're still having, I mean, we can always go back and revisit the speed humps, doesn't necessarily mean you're not.
And you know, if kids talk the way they do, once the high school kids find out that, you know, you're issuing tickets and that, you know, we're really watching it, maybe we'll roll it out and that's what happened. It's a good problem.
What I can do as well, and working with the police department, you know, 6 months, 9 months, what have you, I can send out another mailing, and I can give you statistics of, you know, any infractions of what have been done in the last 6, 9 months to show that, you know,
3 months.
these guys are gonna do it. I know that they are, and they're committed to helping you guys. And I think you'll see a difference. And Mayor's right, you know, it's not about every speeder, because that's not gonna happen. But if you can get 1 out of 3, 3 out of 10, that's gonna make a significant difference. Well, in closing, I really appreciate you guys coming out. The dialogue is valuable for us to hear your concerns. We appreciate you taking the time out in your busy lives, your weeks, to come here and speak with us.
Councilman Phil Cole is here as well, you can always contact him. And Councilman Shane Negrishat is out of town this week, but he is very interested in, I have to call him as soon as we're done and tell him what's going on. So, but Phil's right here also, and he's always available to you.
You want Phil to direct traffic?
He's a specialist. He can write tickets himself out there.
You also have a speed hump on that street. You can come to the street.
A might come up front if you're interested. My business card with my office and cell number is on there, so by all means, feel free to call me for any questions, anything we talked about in addition to this, you know, the local corn bushes, complaints in the neighborhood, because we'll be happy to help you guys however we can.
Okay, just to recap, we're gonna check stop signs. We're gonna do signage. I'm gonna look at those electronic signs, enhance enforcement, and kind of just, then the ATVs, we're gonna be more alert to the ATVs. If we can collect a few of those and sell them at auction, that'll be good.
I have a maintenance question. Do you have a regular schedule for resurfacing that road? It's
Yes.
in bad condition.
Yes, we will not be out there this summer. We'll, you know, we gotta get another.
Don't read.
Easy, dog.
No, it is. We are gonna be doing some drainage work there. We're talking about icing, so we're.
Are you really?
That's not really, it's not really a paving, it's just fixing.
Really? That's not nice.
Probably not.
I personally like the holes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate